Hi guys, so my inbox has been inundated with this whole morning's taxi strike in Joburg and people asking me what are my thoughts on it. I just thought I'd share a couple of thoughts with you. As an entrepreneur, somebody who works with entrepreneurs, financing entrepreneurs and helping them build businesses, I think there can be no better in industry for black businesses to realize exactly what the problem is and what I mean when I say we need to change our thinking. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So it turns out that the taxi industry buys about 1,200 taxis every year. 82% of them come from Toyota specifically. The problem is, because they don't group themselves and buy in bulk, every time they go and buy from Toyota, they're buying in single units, so they don't get the right pricing margin and the right pricing discount. The second is, why they're buying from Toyota and not manufacturing their own local brand of taxis. Because think about it, if you manufacture 1,200 taxis every year, you have a ready business model, a ready business market. Dealerships don't sell 1,200 of any unit in a year. So you own an entire sector on the retail front, but you don't own it on the production front. Then you're complaining that the producer's setting the price, but you don't go to the producer and talk in bulk. This is not rocket science. The second aspect to talk about is this issue of the financing cost. You can say whatever you want about the financing cost and whether or not what transaction capital is charging through the taxi finance business is moral or ethical or makes sense. Those are separate issues and I don't want to get into them because I've not seen, frankly, the business model for how they're financing that sector. But here's what I want to say. Why is it that we're 23 years into our democracy, right? And we still don't have taxis financing themselves? What's Santaco been doing? They launched an airline that never took off. You guys remember the story? They actually launched an airline, branded it. The airline never went anywhere. It never took off. So now, as South Africans, as citizens who live in Joburg, who pay our taxes, we're being inconvenienced and stopped in our roads because their business model doesn't make sense, but they're turning a business model issue into a moral issue. This is not a moral issue. You know, if taxis were striking because the roads are bad, or because they don't have enough taxi ranks or enough places to stop, because the conditions of taxi ranks is poor, why don't taxi drivers strike because there's, I don't know, no showers in a taxi rank and we all know they live in fairly poor circumstances? Why don't they strike for that stuff? Why are they not striking for taxi owners to give them an allowance, a living allowance, so they can pay for food and places to live? Why don't they strike for that? Those are moral issues. You're striking because the cost of financing your business is too high, but you've not taken the trouble to group yourselves together as a group of people running the sector and then build your own finance institution, nor have you taken the trouble to group yourselves together and buy in bulk. This is exactly what I mean when I say it's time for black entrepreneurs to think differently. I know Black Twitter is going to go abuzz with Vusi. Carry on with the vitriol, that's okay. But for those of us who are working in a sector, who are building entrepreneurs, it's time that people need to realize the pity party at some point has to stop and we have to start doing it for ourselves. Just my thoughts. What are yours?